Yeah, so for homework question 37, in module 8, they give us this Lewis structure of nitrate and they say, what is wrong with this Lewis structure, right? So number one, the Lewis structure as drawn, we don't have a full octet for nitrogen, right? We don't have a full octet for nitrogen. Nitrogen wants to have a full octet. It wants to have 8 electrons in its outer shell. Right now it has 6. So that's mistake number one. Mistake number two is a little bit harder to see. And to do that, we'd have to calculate formal charge. Formal charge right, equals our group number minus assigned electrons. Right, so I already added in the formal charges there, but let's just say we didn't know the formal charge. And we wanted to add in those formal charges to answer the rest of these questions. Oxygen is group 6. Right, so I would put down 6 to figure out the formal charge on oxygen. To count my assigned electrons, we count all non-bonding electrons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we count 1 electron for each bond. So I've got 6 electrons here, and then I'm going to have 1 electron in this oxygen-nitrogen bond that belongs to oxygen. So for the charge on oxygen, group 6, minus 7 assigned electrons. So oxygen in all these cases is minus 1 because all of these oxygens are group 6 and they all have 7 electrons assigned. Nitrogen is group 5. And when we go and take a look at nitrogen, yeah, nitrogen is group 5. If we go and take a look at nitrogen at group 5, and then we go figure out the assigned electrons, right? I've got 1 electron from that bond, 1 electron from this bond, 1 electron from this bond. So I actually didn't even have the initial charge correct. Basically, nitrogen as this is drawn in the Lewis structure, I've got 3 valence electrons. I've got 3 electrons assigned. So 5 minus 3, right? The charge on nitrogen should be a 2+. So whenever possible, we want to minimize charge. I can minimize some of this charge on nitrogen by forming a nitrogen-oxygen double bond. So choice B, separation of formal charges, we have that because I've got a positive charge next to a negative charge. And then formal charges is not minimized, right? We want to minimize formal charge whenever possible. So an example of that Lewis structure would be nitrogen double bonded with an oxygen, right? This would be a better Lewis structure for this because here we've minimized formal charge. I've gotten rid of one of the negative charges from oxygen. I've gotten rid of one of the positive charges from nitrogen, right? So this would be a better Lewis structure, and I filled the octet for nitrogen. We can't get rid of the last positive charge because we can't break the octet for nitrogen. So this is as far as we can go for the Lewis structure for nitrogen and nitrate. So that leaves our correct choices as we've got less than an octet in our first Lewis structure. We've got separation of formal charges, and we did not minimize formal charges. So A, B, and C for question 37.